Scott Harrison, the founder and CEO of Charity Water. Scott, 4 years ago you were running nightclubs. Today you are perhaps the most influential non-profit waterman in the world. What happened in those 4 years?
Well, it was not quite so simple. I'd moved to New York City at 18 and learned that there was this job called nightclub promoter, and you could get paid to drink alcohol for free. This sounded amazing. All my friends would actually drink for free. So for 10 years, I lived what a lot of people thought would be a pretty ideal life. Working a couple nights a week, surrounded by beautiful people. We'd sell $350 bottles of vodka that cost us $15 wholesale. And what happened was my life looked great on the outside, but I was inwardly kind of spiraling down to emotional, spiritual, moral bankruptcy. And at 28 years old, after a decade in the business, just hit rock bottom, and I realized what a mess I'd made of my life. And I was in South America with perfect people on the perfect vacation with servants and horses, and I had the Rolex and a BMW and a Labrador Retriever and a grand piano in my apartment, everything I thought I wanted, and I was miserable. So I started reading theology. I'd been raised in a very Christian home. I'd rejected all of that faith, kind of given God and the church and my family the middle finger for 10 years, and came back in a very real and different way as an adult to faith, and decided I'd try a 180. I'd try to make my life look exactly the opposite. Go serve God, go serve the poor. And that led me to Liberia, post-war, a country in Africa, West Africa, that had come out of 14 years of civil war, and I just volunteered to trail around some doctors and take pictures of their work and hope that some of my friends in nightlife might want to respond and get engaged in that work. A year of volunteerism turned into 2, and then I learned there of the link between disease and water, and then came back 4 years ago at 30 years old to start Charity Water.
What did you see in Liberia that drove you in particular to found Charity Water?
I saw a need so much greater than we could meet. My job was the volunteer photojournalist for the ship, and I'll never forget my 3rd day. I turned up at a stadium where 7,000 sick people had come to see our doctors for 1,500 surgery slots. Knowing that 5,000 plus people would be turned away, many of them had walked for a month with the hope of seeing a doctor. Devastating. Liberia had 1 physician for every 50,000 of its citizens post-war. Here we have a doctor for 180 people. It was massive, massive need. And I think, I'm the optimist. The glass was always half full. I was watching these doctors give people their sight back, remove giant facial tumors, fix cleft lips. The lame were walking up the ship crippled and walking off normal with prosthetics and with help. So also then learned of the link between disease and water. Here these doctors, we're going out, we were Band-Aids. And many of these people had been sick because they were drinking scummy pond water in their villages. And when I went out to see that, here are these green swamps and water sources, water I wouldn't think of stepping in. I wouldn't let my dog drink. And here there were, men, women, and children, and this was their only source because of where they were born. So it was kind of that anger in a way. Something needed to be done, and I was in a position to be able to throw the rest of my life at it.
Why were you first? Why hadn't someone done it before you?
There were a couple other water charities out there. I think it was just more the way that we've tried to do it. We are going for 1 billion people. I want to see this solved in my lifetime. I'd love to retire and be able to tell my grandkids, you go work on another problem. Every single person on earth has clean water. We actually know, Andrew, how to solve this problem. We just don't have the will yet, and we haven't raised the money. But we know how to solve it. It's unlike some of the tougher problems of the world. And we don't need to research the cure in a lab. We just need to go out and do it.